So the people started to feel their strength. And it's the people that will cause the revolution, and it's the people that will cause the change in the country.
No more brothers in jail. Off the pig. Pigs are gonna get jail. Off the pig. No more pigs in our community. Off the pig. No more pigs in our community. No more pigs in our community. Off the pig. No more pigs in our community. Off the pig.
In the 1960s and 70s, social justice consisted of grassroots, abolitionist, mass mobilizations led by and for the people. Since then, things have changed. But what happened? Dean Spade addresses the missteps of gay and lesbian activism and redirects the current trans resistance movement in his book, Normal Life: Administrative Violence, Critical Trans Politics, and the Limits of the Law. Spade is a trans liberation activist, organizer, lawyer, and professor at Seattle University School of Law. His book spans decades of America's history and theoretical movements and suggests a nuanced understanding of the usefulness of law reform in current trans politics. I will only capture a small portion of Spade's research in this video. Spade references the rise of neoliberalism as the key force in nudging lesbian and gay activists towards advocating for inclusion of sexuality in law reform. The single-issue focus erases the effects that multiple injustices have on a person's daily lived experience. By appealing to a distinct identity label, law reform activism justifies the power of categorization in determining people's access to safety. Single-issue law reform relies on a perpetrator-victim model of power, where individual bias leads to intentional action. Spade encourages us to incorporate a population management model into our conceptualization of power. Although his word choice may seem misleading, it is simply a tool to reframe our understanding of power as multi-sided and more complex than individual acts of discrimination. Spade highlights the violence that state administrations inflict on vulnerable communities by placing certain people in categories of deserving and undeserving of care and safety. This categorization is based on the ideal of what a, quote, normal U.S. citizen looks like. For example, white, wealthy people with U.S. citizenship have easier access to healthcare and feel protected by the police. Anyone who deviates from the norm of white, wealthy, and of U.S. nationality is more likely to be targeted by the police and punished through a lack of access to healthcare. Trans folks can be deeply affected by administrative violence. Spade's population management can help us uncover this kind of harm more easily. For example, access to healthcare can depend on a simple M or F on a state-issued ID, birth certificate, or passport. If your gender identity matches the letter on your ID documents, then access to gender-affirming healthcare may be easier. As soon as the gender marker on your identity documents don't match, due to the varied administrative processes required to change it, gender-affirming care becomes more difficult, or even inaccessible. Spade's population management model of power reveals the urgent need to target the root of the issue, the power administrations have to define and control who has access to what resources. Spade reframes the usage of law reform in his concluding recommendation for current and future activism. He borrows the effective strategy of the Miami Workers Center, a nonprofit organizing working-class tenants, workers, women, and families in the Miami-Dade County. The Four Pillars model of social justice infrastructure combines four key strategies to encourage shared political analysis among people facing similar harms. In this model, the lawyer's role is to share their expertise to build leadership skills and encourage action in the communities most affected by administrative violence. They can also provide free services to incarcerated or low-income folks, as well as grassroots organizations. Finally, law reform can be a tool to target material change and direct work towards economic and racial justice among issues of gender and sexuality. Examples of demands made using the Four Pillars model include prison abolition, free housing for all, and an end to immigration and poverty, mirroring the radical movements of the 60s and 70s. Normal Life has given me hope that there are effective strategies to make real change. I recommend that anyone interested in social justice organizing give this book a read.